Hey there, YouTube viewers. Welcome back to Incynema. We've got another horror reboot on our hands. Although it is clear audiences are crying out for more original standalone horror movies, major studios just can't stop bringing back the dead. Reboots, requels, sequels, prequels, what of you the horror genre can't get enough of recycling and repackaging old stories? This brings us to Renny Harlin's The Strangers Chapter 1, the first in a reboot trilogy of Bryan Bertino's 2008 home invasion horror, The Strangers, starring Riverdale's Madelaine, Petsch, and Froy Gutierrez as the new, ill-fated lovers. Chapter 1 simply recycles the original story, adding nothing new nor applying updated horror tools. It stays within the shadow of the original, and for how similar yet inferior it is to the first film, it never fully justifies its existence. In love couple Maya, played by Madelaine Petsch, and Ryan, played by Froy Gutierrez, are celebrating their 5th anniversary as they make their way across the country from New York to Portland for Maya's job interview at an elite architectural firm. As New Yorkers, they are not used to the quiet greenery of Venus, Oregon, where they stop for lunch. Ryan is nervous about the creepy townsfolk, whereas Maya is simply happy to get a break from the city. The small town with a population of less than 500 is so unwelcoming of the pair that you almost think this is going to be a Wicker Man situation, that 2 yuppies need to be sacrificed every year to maintain the town's harvest. The employees at the diner turn up their noses at Maya's vegetarianism, and the couple is badgered by other patrons for not being married yet. When they return to their car, it mysteriously stops working, and an ominous local mechanic is quick to tell them that they won't be going anywhere that day. At the recommendation of the locals, they stay in a remote Airbnb. From there, the plot is pretty much the exact same as the original. Dollface shows up and asks for Tamara, unsettling the couple, but they're quick to get back to their impromptu romantic getaway. Ryan drives off to get food while Maya hears repeated mysterious noises but staves off the suspicions with a joint. Man in Mask hides in corners of the house unbeknownst to Maya, and when Ryan returns, the 3 killers finally make themselves known, beginning the night of terror. To understand what went wrong with The Strangers Chapter 1, we must look back on what went so right with 2008's The Strangers. Hitting theaters in May of 2008, the movie found space in a genre that was being inundated with gritty torture porn titles from the splat pack of directors including Eli Roth, James Wan, and Rob Zombie. Among the torture hostels, saw traps, and many remakes, The Strangers brought horror back to basics. It's a refreshingly simple premise. A couple's holiday home is invaded by 3, mostly silent mass killers. No motivation, no backstory, no high concept. It was just hunters and their prey set over the course of one dark night. It paired horror back to remind audiences that you didn't need buckets of gore and IP with a pre-installed fan base or a gang of horny teenagers. Tense atmosphere, committed performances, and a real sense of dread were all you needed to make an unlikely hit. It also played on America's ever-growing fear and paranoia of someone breaking into their home. The opening hears a booming voice telling the audience that 1.4 million crimes are committed in America each year, and what we're about to see is among the worst of them. Before either of our stars show up, Bertino roots his horror thriller in a foreboding sense of reality. The Strangers went on to gross over $80 million at the global box office against its $9 million budget. To this day, it is considered amongst the best and scariest home invasion films, giving us one of the creepiest lines and motivations in all of horror. Because you were home. All of this is to say, The Strangers' success was never something that was supposed to be replicated. The time of its release and the fact it came with very little expectation are the reasons it stands tall in the horror genre. Its direct sequel 10 years later was a massive dud, so who thought a reboot was going to be a good idea? With such little lore and fairly simple characters, it never felt like a movie waiting for more installments. The main issue with The Strangers Chapter 1 is that it doesn't have anything new to add to the series. It rehashes all the familiar touchstones of the 2008 movie. 2 Christian boys are seen outside the diner, Man in the Mask stalks Maya around the house, and a major plot point of an innocent casualty getting caught in the crossfire is there too. Beyond this, the only updates are smartphones and a change from the couple being in a rocky place in their relationship to being madly in love. It's impossible not to judge this film by how it compares to the original. If you're rebooting or remaking a cult classic, you need to have a good reason for why you're making it. What can you do to update the story? What fresh spins can you put on it? And how can you bring what worked into a new decade? Chapter 1 doesn't seem to have considered any of these prerequisites. This is Madelaine Petsch's first major role since her tenure as the sharp-tongued lesbian empress of Riverdale. While Petsch turns in an impassioned performance, she sometimes lacks the necessary urgency, playing down the tension of the scene. The sequence of her alone in the house goes on far too long, and her constant shrugging off that something is wrong doesn't pair well with Harlin obviously wanting to incite fear. However, a particular scene where Petsch has to exhibit excruciating pain is viscerally played to perfection, even if she isn't quite ready to be considered amongst scream queens like Melissa Barrera and Mia Goth. But with her returning for the next 2 installments, there's plenty of room for her to come into her own as a new final girl. Chapter 1 surprisingly puts a lot of effort into immersing the audience in Maya and Ryan as a couple. Like it or not, we are getting 2 more Strangers films, Chapter 2 later this year and Chapter 3 in early 2025. Fans of the original were excited at the prospect of finally getting to unveil the trio of killers. Was there a reason beyond the ill-fated couple being home? And who in God's name is Tamara? For this reason, perhaps we'll have better luck with the next 2 films. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Until next time.